Today, I want to take a closer look at my top three AI stocks for 2024. And when I mean top three, I mean that I wouldn't mind if these three stocks become a third of my portfolio by the end of the year. And that's pretty much going to be my goal to kind of continue to increase my overall positions in these three players to kind of become a huge position in my overall account. The great thing is these are companies that are not just, in my opinion, growth stories. They do have mature products. They are a leader or are gaining market share in their selected field. And we're going to take a closer look at companies that deal with hardware, clouding infrastructure, and cybersecurity. Before we go any further, if you guys could guess the three stocks, let me know in the comments below. I do believe the first one is going to come to no one's surprise, as it is one that I talk about numerous times in this channel. So by the end of this episode, you're going to get a lot of this great information. I'm also going to share my overall thoughts on like price points, on overall my positioning at the moment, and so much more. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So the first one should come to no one's surprise, and this is Nvidia. Nvidia roughly makes up 15% of my overall portfolio right now. And you guys know I'm big into the semiconductor companies. I do believe the overall semiconductor company market makes up about a third of my overall account right now. So you guys know I'm very, very bullish in that space. But Nvidia is by far the leader in AI accelerators in AI hardware. And the H100 is dominating. Sure, there is competition. We have the MI300X, we have the Gaudi 3, the Gaudi 2 and Gaudi 3 incoming. But NVIDIA continues to innovate. They have the H200 coming out at the second quarter of 2024. And they have Blackwell, the B100, expected to come out later this year. So NVIDIA, as we continue to see this kind of growth in AI workloads and AI demands, we are going to see that NVIDIA is going to continue to grow in this market. And we can continue to see that this is a market that's still supply constrained. We have heard reports that came out on January 4th that the AI GPU supply to stay tight in 2024. And that bodes well for NVIDIA. It means there's more demand than supply. So NVIDIA, they can continue to increase their overall sales as long as they continue to increase their overall kind of capacity. We can see how data center revenue for them continues to grow at a crazy level. And the company thus mentions that, look, they continue to increase their supply every quarter this year to meet the strong demand and expect to continue to do so next year. So we're going to continue to see a nice step up in revenue for NVIDIA in the upcoming years. Here we can take a closer look at some charts of revenue estimates for current fiscal year. It's expected to be 58 billion. Now look at next year. This is expected to jump to 90 billion. That is a huge growth rate. And if we take a closer look at 2 fiscal years ahead, it's expected to grow to $108 billion. Now, some people might be looking at NVIDIA and saying, hey, Jose, this one's pretty expensive. Current PE ratio is 64. Now, if we look at forward PE ratio, which ends this quarter, it's expected to drop down to 40. That doesn't seem too crazy for a company growing at crazy levels. And if we look at forward 1 year, which is pretty much the next 12 months, it's 24.7. So if these estimates are correct and not underestimating NVIDIA's growth potential, then NVIDIA is sitting, in my opinion, at a strong valuation right now. Obviously, that's where the risk comes. Is this AI demand here to stay, or is this AI demand going to be just a one year thing? I'm personally going for the first and not the latter. But again, that's the biggest risk right now. And I'm not saying that the AI demand is going to be on a constant uptrend. There's probably going to be quarters where we're going to see oversupply issues. But in my opinion, those are going to be short-term lived. So I'm always prepared for the worst, but I do believe NVIDIA has numerous growth opportunities going forward. And at the end of this episode, I'm going to explain maybe a little bit of when I would be willing to add or continue to buy NVIDIA. Some final thing in financials, we can look at NVIDIA right now. Free cash flow in the most recent quarter was $7 billion. That is insane. I am going to be curious if 2024 becomes a year that NVIDIA makes some interesting acquisitions with all this amount of free cash flow it is collecting. Now, the second company is going to be one in the clouding infrastructure, and I'm going to guess that many people don't discuss it, but hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this one. But before, if we go any further, make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to hit the subscribe button. If you want a special offer, check out fool.com/Jose. I truly appreciate all the support. So stock number 2 is Oracle, and some of you might have guessed Microsoft instead. Microsoft Microsoft is a close second. It's definitely in my portfolio. It's one that continues to be in my portfolio. But right now, Oracle is one that I'm willing to add and increase my overall position size. So Oracle is actually a new company in my account. Right now, it makes up roughly 3%, 3.5% of my overall portfolio. And this is one I'm hoping to grow to 8%. And again, I'm going to talk about buying points in a bit of when I'm willing to add more. But Oracle is a company that provides two main things. First, they provide their Oracle Cloud application. So they provide software solutions for the business world in forms of ERPs, in forms of SCMs, in forms of CX, in forms of HCM. So a lot of kind of applications used in the enterprise world. Outside of that, Oracle is growing in their cloud infrastructure market. And this is where I believe Oracle can grow dramatically. The main reason is Oracle is one that's always partnering up, in my opinion, with NVIDIA first. For example, Grace Hopper instances are now available at GPU specialized cloud providers and coming soon to Oracle Cloud. So, Oracle Cloud, every time I see NVIDIA release some new products, I do believe Oracle is the first one to say, yes, we're going to put it in our infrastructure. And I do believe that partnership is going to go a long way. Now, if we take a closer look at Oracle's quarter two earnings, revenue was 12.9 billion, only up 5% year over year. You're going to be like, Jose, how is this company a growth story if it's only growing 5%? What I'm really excited is that the cloud revenue was up 25% year over year, and the cloud infrastructure itself was up 52% year over year. The CEO does mention that demand for their cloud infrastructure and generative AI services is increasing at an astronomical rate. Their overall cloud business is now nearly at a $20 billion annual revenue run rate, and they are expanding 66 of their existing cloud data centers and building 100 new cloud data centers to meet the growing demand. Obviously, that growing demand means a lot more hardware, means a lot more sales for companies like NVIDIA. They mentioned that they can build their new data centers very rapidly and operate them inexpensively because they are all highly automated with identical high performance networks. I'm pretty sure they're just copying and pasting some of NVIDIA's DGX H100, which is a very simple system compared to the rest to build. They mentioned in the next few months, they are turning on 20 new Oracle Cloud data centers co-located with and connected. This is the great thing. They are partnered up with Microsoft Azure, and they are building dozens of new data centers in countries all over the world, as the demand is not just here in the United States, it's globally, as a lot of governments are trying to bring that sovereign AI to their countries. And this is something that I've actually talked about in another NVIDIA episode, where I took NVIDIA's other AI growth opportunities is sovereign AI, as countries as a whole are trying to become AI powerhouses. So this is a great thing in my opinion. And I do believe that this is going to bode well for Oracle. If we take a closer look at the Q&A session during their most recent earnings, they want to emphasize that the overall growth in cloud is not just Gen AI. There's also a huge pent-up demand for their cloud database solutions for a lot of their software that they are bringing to their cloud market. So Oracle is kind of similar to what NVIDIA did. NVIDIA kind of created hardware, and then they created software to kind of meet with that hardware, right? So they gave their hardware a purpose. Oracle is doing something different, right? They created some amazing software, and now they're creating that infrastructure that they can run their software and give that infrastructure a purpose. So it's kind of that flywheel house that NVIDIA has created. So I really enjoy that as well. Now, if we take a closer look at financial goals for this company, we can see in the next few years, they believe that their compounded annual growth rate could be roughly 9%. And this is mainly driven from that Oracle Cloud infrastructure. And I do believe they can outperform this, as the company is seeing that huge demand right now in the AI clouding infrastructure play. So Oracle's revenue estimates, we can see 53 billion for the current fiscal year, which ends in 2 quarters from now. So they already are in their second quarter of this fiscal year. So it's expected to be 53 in the current. The next is expected to grow to 57, and the one after that is expected to grow to 63.4. Now, if we take a closer look at PE ratios right now might seem a little bit expensive at 28.38, but look at PE ratio forward, which is about 6 quarters from now. So it's the 2 quarters that end this year and 4 quarters from now. It jumps down to 18.6. I personally don't believe that's expensive, and that is why Oracle is on my list. Now, stock number three is one in the cybersecurity market, and this is CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike has done an amazing year right now, sitting at $247. So CrowdStrike right now is about 4% of my overall portfolio, and this is another one that I'm trying to grow up to 8%. If you were lucky enough and you've been following this channel, we did take a closer look at CrowdStrike back in October of 2023 when the stock was sitting at $160. Right now, it's sitting almost $100 over that at 250. So this was a 16-minute video that unfortunately didn't do that well, but I took about a look at all the growth opportunities that CrowdStrike had and why I was excited for it to becoming one of a position in my overall portfolio and continue to grow. So CrowdStrike, huge cybersecurity player. If we take a closer look at their most recent earnings, right, annual recurring revenue surpassed $3 billion, growing 35% year over year. They did see a record net new of annual recurring revenue of 223 million this most recent quarter. Overall, the company continues to announce new solutions. They've made numerous new acquisitions, and they recently had their overall Falcon cybersecurity conference event where they announced numerous new solutions for things like data protection, IT automation innovations, and their next generation of Raptor, of Falcon, which is going to be called Raptor, right? So overall, CrowdStrike, in my opinion, is a big player. This is the only one that I want to say is maybe a little bit on the overvalue side, and one I don't mind waiting for better prices. But I explain a little bit more later on in this episode. My biggest excitement for CrowdStrike is this overall expansion opportunity. They mentioned that right now, just counting their customer base, they only have about $3 billion in annual recurring revenue. But if they were able to sell their existing modules to their existing customer base, so this is saying, hey, look, if we don't get any new customers and we just focus on expanding within our current customers, that revenue can grow to 19.6 billion. I think that alone is insane with the amount of expansion opportunity they currently have. So CrowdStrike revenue is expected to grow roughly 20% in the next fiscal year, and then another around 20% after that. So CrowdStrike is definitely one that I do expect to continue to grow at some crazy levels. PE ratio for CrowdStrike, even looking at forward 1 year, is pretty expensive at 66.7. But again, this is a company that, in my opinion, is going to continue to grow and expand at some amazing pace. All right, so now let me just share my overall thoughts on prices and where they're at in my overall portfolio. Nvidia is roughly 15% of my overall account right now. And buy points for me will start at the low 400s. If I was to buy right now, it will be very small dollar cost averaging. Again, this is already 15% of my account, so I don't believe I would buy too much. If I was to add more, maybe I might make it to 20% at most, but I don't think I would go higher than that. Now, CrowdStrike is roughly 4% of my overall account, like I mentioned. Buy points right now is more like small dollar cost averaging, right? I do believe there are better opportunities out there, but I do want to increase my overall position here. This is one that I'm just gonna have to keep on my wait list and watch list and wait for better buying times, like maybe we saw a few months ago when I really kind of increased my size in this one from, I want to say, 1% to maybe 4%, and that's where we're seeing some great movements right now. Now, Oracle, like I mentioned, is brand new into my overall account. This is right now 3% of my overall portfolio, and this is one that I do believe right now is a great buying opportunity for me. So this is one that in the upcoming weeks, in the upcoming months, if they stay around these low 100s, I'm going to be adding until it becomes that roughly 8% of my overall account. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Let me know what you think. I think next I want to do 2 AI stocks that have huge growth but huge risk at the same time that I own in my account. Let me know if you guys want to see that. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.